I've interviewed a lot of geothermal companies over the last couple of years, and the sense is that the technology is getting better. It's getting closer to being economic and being able to scale, but it's not quite there yet. Well, I'm going to talk to Jim Hollis, who's the CEO of Geothermal Technologies, and he thinks that his company has cracked the code, as it were, for geothermal, and it is ready to scale, and it will produce cost-effective electricity. So welcome to the interview, Jim.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Now, look, why is it that these other companies not quite got there, or better yet, why do you think that you've got the secret sauce, you've solved the problem?
Yeah, thanks for that. So one thing that we spend a lot of time looking at are these natural geothermal systems that are the only ones really working right now. And geologically, they're complex. You need a plate boundary, you need hot magma. And so we looked at that, and then we looked at all the other approaches to creating synthetic ones in places where you don't have those, so we can scale them. And what we found is that looking at the hot water that sits at the bottom of oil and gas basins is great for several reasons. The most important one is that if we bring that water out and get the power off it and re-inject it, we're not using any of it. We're just borrowing the heat. But more importantly, what happens is we can create a convective recharge field that brings hot water from a much larger area. And the so what there is that the cost of power then can be depreciated over a long period of time, and you get to actually have very cost-effective power.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, this convective field you're talking about, as you draw the heat out of the water, you draw in more hot water from a field.
That's correct. Yeah. So you actually create a circulation field that's pulling the hot water. A lot of the attempts that people are trying now are using conductive heat transfer, which means that you're up against a hot rock. And the problem there is those rocks will cool off and take a long time to heat back up, which means that you need lots of holes or lots of ways that you're doing this to try and make baseload power. And what's wonderful about geothermal is that it's baseload. It's available when it's nighttime and the sun's not shining or the wind's not blowing. So it's super key to not only have cheap power, but it's got to be available 24/7.
Now, I want to focus in on this, the water at the bottom of an oil and gas basin. So can you explain the geology of that? Like, where is that water exactly? Beneath the oil, the hydrocarbons, or is it beneath the basin? Where is that water you're tapping into?
Yeah, so it is at the bottom of these fields, and geologically it comes in. So if you look at the Denver Basin, rain and snow falls on the Rocky Mountains. That water works its way over time down below the basin. The Earth's hot. The center of the Earth is hotter than the face of the actual sun. So that water warms up over time and stores the energy. We know about that water because we've been seeing it below the oil and gas window. It's not drinking water, it's salty water brine. And we know about it because lots of the wastewater that's made from oil and gas operations is injected down there. So we have cores and we have an understanding of the geology and we know how hot it is. And so we take that and we couple that with something called organic Rankine cycle, which is a way that you can make power from cooler water. For instance, the water that we're looking at right now is a 135C, but we can make lots of energy from it because these systems now allow you to actually do that. So those coupled together, and then the use of using the cloud for forward modeling, machine learning to find the sweet spots, all of these things that have emerged in the last 3 or 4 years. And we're just reusing them to go after this resource.
So, Jim, I often make the point when I'm writing about the energy transition that it's not just the energy technologies themselves, whether it be wind and solar, electric vehicles, batteries, whatever it is. It's all these enabling technologies, some of which you just mentioned, like the cloud and big data analytics and predictive analysis, all of that. And it sounds like that's a big part of your model.
Absolutely. We really are about leveraging and aggregating tools that have matured now. So it's not a moonshot. I mean, we know how to do this sort of thing. the lateral drilling that the oil and gas guys come up with allow you to drill these wells in less than a week, and the costs has come way down. So that and reusing all the years and years and years of oil and gas data for looking at hot water now allows us to be very pragmatic and go find these areas and bring them online in months, not years.
Now, right, there's a graphic on your website that, well, basically a map of Canada and the US where the best geothermal resources are. And some of them, actually, a lot of them are in Alberta. No surprise, that's where most of Canada's oil is. So does that mean, based on the data that you think is available, that you can get that data and you could go into Alberta and you could find where the best hot water is and where it would be best economic to set up a geothermal operation? And
yeah, I mean, all through Canada, the US, and these are just the onshore basins. The offshore basins have these as well. So any place that we're actually been exploring or extracting oil and gas is a target. And then we go in and synthesize that data, look for the permeabilities, look for the hot water, and then build a system that will last for as long as we can. That's what we maximize on. So absolutely that's a target there. The other thing that you can do is you can put multiple pairs of these wells in an area and scale up how many megawatts. So if you want to start with 5, you go to 50, maybe run a data center. So there's lots of applications that you can build on and scale these things up both locally, then geographically, and then globally.
Now, I understand you've been working with Johns Hopkins University experts on this, on the scientists. And where are you at? Have you got a bench model? Have you got a pilot model? Have you got a demonstration plant? Where are you at?
Yeah, so we've done about 4 years worth of lots and lots of forward modelings. Thank you, Cloud, and really understand what we need to do. We have partners that we've been working with, H&P, which is one of the biggest actual drillers. However, others have all helped us. So we're at a point right now where we have picked a location. We've just finished negotiating with the landowner. We've got all of the permitting started, and we're out raising some extra money to bring this forward. So we haven't actually drilled the first one, but we hope to have that done in probably the next 4 months.
So let me try to summarize here where you're at. You have spent the last 4 years working with Johns Hopkins and your experts, and it's the data and the modeling that really is your big innovation, and the organic Rankine cycle technology and the drilling technology. All of those are pretty standard.
Off the shelf. Yeah.
Off the shelf.
Off the shelf.
It's your modeling as to where you can find the best heat and how to get at it and how to exploit it. That's the innovation here. Have I got that right?
It's the forward modeling, it's the machine learning and getting the sweet spot, but we also optimize for longevity. So we keep iterating that forward modeling and maybe making the laterals a little bit longer, a little further apart, changing the flow rate. So all of that optimization is a big part of making these things last for as long as we do. And again, the key there is the longer it lasts, the cheaper the power is. And if we can get the power cost down below coal, which we think that we can, then that changes the entire game, and that's what we're after.
Now, there are as you alluded to, there are plenty of other geothermal companies operating in Canada and the United States. Why is it that they haven't taken this approach, or are they doing something kind of similar? Or, all of the modeling and the data analytics, why hasn't somebody else done this previously?
I ask myself that often. It's pretty straightforward once you explain it to somebody. But a lot of the approaches that are being used out there are new and don't necessarily take physics into consideration. And that was what was unique about the JHE scientists. Both their study of what had been done in the past, what worked, what didn't work, and then how do you really leverage the actual physics? Because convection heat is fantastic, but you only get it with water and gas, and you can't get it from solid rock. So, you know, we've really leveraged the investments that have been made in the past, and we thank other people working here, so we can figure what we should do, but also what we shouldn't do. And so that's helped us a bunch. Most of, at least the US DOE money, is still going after the hot, dry rock, which we think is going to run into physics and not really make it there.
Right. Okay. So there are a couple of companies in Canada that use closed loop systems. So
Right.
basically they got a loop of tubing, and there's a proprietary fluid in there, and then they're taking heat from the rocks to heat that fluid and then bringing it up, and they're making electricity with it with one of these organic Rankine cycle.
Right.
So, but that's not your model. Your model is to get the actual hot water at the bottom of a basin.
That's right. And borrow it, take the heat from it and put it back in. And the reason why that we have to do this is those closed loop guys are still just getting the heat transfer from where that pipe hits the rock, and doesn't have this recharge field that makes it last for decades. And so they can make power, but the power is 10x. And we're trying to bring that cost way down.
Great. Well, look, Jim, good luck with your pilot project. We'll please keep us in the loop. This sounds like very interesting technology, and thank you very much for this.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.